Greetings, Earthlings. It's Mr. Yuck, back with another video. Today we're going to shake it up a little bit. We're still on the grind for Mythic Constructed. However, we're going to switch over to Standard Constructed. Today we're going to be using Abzan Enchantments, a little thing I threw together last season wipe that got me all the way to Mythic tier. With that being said, let's get into the construction of this deck and kind of do an overview of what this is trying to do. So we have black, white, and green Abzan, and it's all based around enchantments and trying to combo off certain things. Some of these are a little bit spicy. You'll see a lot of one-ofs that could obviously be tweaked depending on your meta and where you're at in the ranking system. This is also tooled for best of one, not best of three, so keep in mind there are some adjustments when jumping to other formats with this deck. For the most part, we have a lot of removal and protection with Doomscar here, an old favorite. Borrowed Time is excellent in this deck, and you'll see why as enchantments become cheaper. The more enchantments you play, the more relevant it becomes. Moving on, we have some more removal with Meat Hook Massacre. Again, a great card enchantment, but it's also a board wipe, and it has residual effects that affect the rest of the game. We have Infernal Grasp for quick, cheap target removal for early game targets to just kind of get them out of the way. Rather take the 2 life than have some of these smaller creatures stay on the battlefield for too long. And finally, for the removal, we have Fateful Absence, which destroys target planeswalker or creature, and its controller investigates, giving them a token that they pay 2 life to sacrifice, and they draw a card. So it seems like a bit of a down to give your opponent card advantage or possible draw into another card, but get rid of a planeswalker for 2 mana at instant speed is really good sometimes. Just big scary creatures that they might have ramped into or something like that. So again, the standard meta is pretty rough right now, so just kind of trying to stay on our toes. One of the main hitters in this deck for sure is Hallowed Haunting. So as you read this, the more enchantments you control, the better. If you get to 7 enchantments, your creatures have flying and vigilance. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you create a creature token that's power and toughness are each equal to the number of spirits you control. So every time you play an enchantment, you make a spirit, they get larger. Eventually you'll have flying and vigilance creatures permanently. How do we get there? Being at 4 mana, or for say Skeletal Swarming is the top of our mana curve at 5. That produces constant battlefield presence. Just produces people every turn. If they stick around, they get larger. If you kill them, you create more of them for the turn. So like, there's just a lot that this brings to the table. But it's not our real win condition. Our win condition is mostly Hallowed Haunting, creatures, and keeping our opponents from playing their things. We have some more removal with Binding of the Old Gods, I forgot to mention. Destroys target non-land permanent, so that includes planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, things that are otherwise tough to get rid of. The second mode is also ramping you a forest card and putting it on the battlefield tapped. The final mode is not super relevant in this build, but how we get there is Jukai Naturalist. So this is something we really want to see in our opening hand. Makes all of our enchantments cost 1 less. It's a 2/2 for 2 with lifelink. It also is an enchantment creature, so if you cast it later on, it does count as an enchantment. Weaver of Harmony, I cannot say enough about this card. I love this card. Enchantment creature, Snake Druid. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1, so he has a Lord effect. And for 1 mana, if you tap him, you can copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. And you may choose new targets for the copy. So you have this guy on the battlefield, you have the correct mana. You can exile 2 things with 1 borrowed time. You can destroy 2 non-land target permanents, with Binding of the Old Gods. You can copy creating creature tokens with Hallowed Hunting. You can also copy Skeletal Swarming's abilities, Wedding Announcement, Meatloaf. Like, everything in our deck can be copied for 1 mana with this guy right here. So this is a powerhouse. You kind of want to see him early game. You'd rather play a Jukai Naturalist over the Weaver to save it from removal and stuff like that. Moving on, we have a Rangers class, which is just a 1-of, just kind of spicy, thrown in there to fill out the deck. Maybe it can be changed for something else, but whenever it enters battlefield, you create a token, a 2/2 wolf, pay 2 mana to level it up to level 2, and whenever you attack, you put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature. Final mode is that you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. So that's pretty good too. Just being able to cycle through your deck a little faster against more aggressive decks, really important. But the second mode is where this card really shines for me. Economy of Transience. We're leaving this as a 1-of because when I say you really only need 1 of these in your deck, especially in an enchantment-themed deck, this thing keeps coming back out of your graveyard for free. You get a lot of value out of this one little 2-drop that just keeps getting larger, and if you remove it, eventually it will come back to the battlefield or back to your hand. So worth having. Maybe a little spicy. Again, this is up for change if you guys have any suggestions. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. This is Michiko's Reign of Truth. These do really well in this deck because obviously we're running a lot of enchantments. For 2 mana, you're giving something potentially +4/+4 for 2 turns in a row, and then it turns into its own large creature, power and toughness based off of enchantments that you control. So this thing actually overperforms for being an uncommon. And finally, Paladin's class. Just for 1 mana, it's an enchantment, and the first mode itself saying that the spells your opponents cast during your turn cost 1 more to cast. So that just slows the opponent down a little bit if they're playing control, if they're playing a lot of instants and sorceries. The second mode says creatures you control get +1/+1, so another Anthem effect or Lord effect, the way that Weaver of Harmony gives our other creatures +1/+1. But the final mode for 5 mana says whenever you attack until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. So that's a lot of power per turn, especially if we have a Skeletal Swarming out. If we've had a Hallowed Haunting out for a few turns, we have a lot of spirits. So later on in the game, this gets pretty nasty. 2 plains, 2 forests, just for opponent might have Field of Ruin or Ghost Quarters type thing, so be able to fetch your own forests and plains. We also have things like the Restoration of the Gonjo, which searches our library for basic land cards, and Binding the Old Gods, which also searches for basic land cards. We have the Buddy lands that come in tapped unless we control 2 or more other lands. We have 4 of the green-white and 4 of the green-black. I'm sorry, we also have 4 of the white-black in here as well. And we have the pathway. It's pretty obvious. Double-sided land cards, you choose which side they enter with, so you get your options. Really makes your opening hands a lot easier. These pathway lands are really good in my opinion for where standard is right now. Finally, we have the Saiju, which is its own form of removal or a land, and it gets rid of enchantments, artifacts, or non-basic lands an opponent controls. They unfortunately get to search their library for a land card with a basic land type and put it on the battlefield. So, and that being said, we're going to get into it. We get an opening hand with our Jukai Naturalist. Some good removal. We actually have a turn 1, but we're not going to play it on turn 1 this game because we need the tap land to come in first. Yeah, keeping 2 land hands is never great, but this seems fine. Let's hope for the best. There's our 3rd land, so we're in better shape. I want to say it's more important to get the double white on the battlefield. Unfortunately, I'm in a position where I have to choose double white here just to play this Jukai Naturalist. The only thing in the deck that's double black is Meat Hook Massacre, so keep that in mind when choosing your land types for your land for the turn. Oh, he played a Luminarch Aspirant. Here's another black-white matchup. I think that's 3 in a row. Okay, no blacks. I think we just Hallowed Haunting 2 turns in a row and just keep trying to gain life with this Naturalist here. Opponent might remove it with a Vanishing Light. These matchups are pretty tough. I've seen 3 iterations of black-white. Seeing the artifact here, the Celestus, is pretty brutal. This card's really good. Okay, so we removed my first Hallowed Haunting. Creature's only getting larger. I think it's only right that we remove it here. They can go draw a card if they want to. They're already down to 3 cards in hand. We have card advantage over them, so it's okay if they draw that 1 extra card. We took a little bit of life to get to this point to see if it was okay to kill it, if he was going to play something scarier. So we're still alright here. I think we played a Paladin class to make their removal spells a little harder to cast for them, and so that we could bump it up next turn with some mana that we don't spend. Swing in for 2, go back up to 17. So it's almost guaranteed they just pulled a Doomscar right there. Maybe not, because they just played a creature. They wouldn't have wasted that creature. So we play our Hallowed Haunting. Remember that this counts as an enchantment, so when we cast this, it'll create a dude for us. Naturalist gets bigger. It's able to swing in with confidence. Back up to 20. Opponent's probably going to blow up the board here, if I'd have to guess. Oh! Oh no. No, he just plays Starheim. Yeah. That's a lot of dudes. Yeah, I think we do like this. So this is the great part about Weaver of Harmony. With that 1 green mana and tapping this Weaver of Harmony, you can copy Ichiko's Reign of Truth here. So it targets my Jukai Naturalist, giving it +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment I control, which is currently 4. And give this +4/+4. Now it stops me, and I can pay 1 green mana, and I can go over here and copy this and do it again. Targeting the Jukai Naturalist for a second time because it has lifelink, so now I'll be swinging in with confidence and with gaining 13 life in 1 turn. So we will swing in, see how they block, because we have mana available to play the Faithful Absence on their turn or during the block here. Okay, so with this Faithful Absence, I guess we just kill their Youthful Valkyrie, but it leaves them with a lot of power on the field. That's alright. Yeah, we're right up to 30 life. That's pretty good. It's feeling the pressure a little bit. Got a 16-point health lead over opponent. They have 3 cards in hand. We're empty-handed, which is bad, but we have a lot of good draws here still. The Field of Ruinous, which actually helps a little bit, picks out a land from our deck that we don't want to draw into right now. It shuffles our library so that we can hopefully draw something more relevant. Well, that sucks a little bit. Guess we'll do the Weaver, unfortunately. Opponent's still feeling a lot of pressure. He has better creatures. He's actually choosing to attack here, which is not a great idea, with the exception of this have Vigilance, so. Okay, so we drew another Harmony of Weaver. Again, when we cast this, it will make another Spirit. We can level up our Paladin's class, so that everything gets a little bit scarier, and next turn we can actually swing in for pretty much lethal. If we level up this Paladin class one more time. Okay, so he double blocks, killing my Jukai Naturalist. I gain a bunch of life. They have nothing. Okay, so that's pretty problematic. We like that. We got our usefulness out of the Ichigo's Reign of Truth. The last mode is like fine, it turns into a creature and it's huge, but I think we made the right choice there. Skeletal Swarming kind of takes priority here, just because of the constant board presence, just in case they have board wipes or just continue finding creatures and gaining life and stuff. So, and again, we can copy this with our Weaver of Harmony, so we'll put this out rather than leveling up our Paladin's class. And we'll swing in for both of these. Okay. I'm going to choose to block. We get 2 dudes instead of 1 because something died. Okay, I think opponent might be folding here. We're at 31 life, they're at 10. This slows me down a little bit, but okay, so he got rid of my other Weaver. What I'm saying, this card's so good that this will eat a lot of the opponent's removal, so that your later game is a little bit more open. Play around with. We will level up Paladin's class for the 3rd time and swing in for lethal. This gets +1/+1 for each attacking creature and Delta Strike. Good games. We did it, folks. This is certainly one of the more janky decks that I've ever built on Arena, being that there's a lot of 1-drops. It's kind of inconsistent with land for some reason. There's still 24 lands in here, but okay, so this looks pretty good. We have all our land colors. We have our powerhouse, our VIP of the deck. Yeah, I think this looks good. Play this on white. Play a Weaver. So they're playing Grixis colors, meaning they're going to definitely have removal. Okay, so it looks like Grixis Dragons. Not too worried about that egg yet. Let's go ahead and get this wedding announcement out. Okay, so I have to discard 2 cards and then exile everything. So I think we go Infernal Grasp. Oh man, Weaver of Harmony. Pain. That's what pain feels like. We'll save the beside you just in case they have any artifacts or enchantments. Maybe we can actually burn one of their lands if they come into a situation where they're behind on lands. For now, let's keep our mana consistent and just kind of get rid of this before it turns into a threat. Kind of wanted to copy that, just get more value out of it, but it's alright. Okay, opponent passes. Since we have 2 forests in this deck, and we have none of them on the battlefield, we can actually copy this Binding of the Old Gods and get them both out onto the battlefield, ramping us up to 6 on turn 5. Okay, so we also have the mana to play this Michiko's Reign of Truth. Michiko's, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Yeah, so that buffs that 1/1 all the way up to a 5/5. We have our land drop for the turn. We're cruising. Okay, so they go to draw cards and make treasure tokens. Big Score seems a little bit too pricey mana-wise for standard play, but it's definitely worked against me before. Opponent was passing. I think we just have it. Yeah, so we copy this for 1 mana. Make sure to target both creatures if you have multiple creatures and you copy this. It's the first target area that goes away. Okay, so he's Infernal Grasping one of those tokens, that's fine. The Economy of Transients. It's a little late in the game to see this, but it's fine. We're not going to play our Beside You as a land for the turn, we're just going to save it. Again, no reason to rush. Got plenty of lands on the battlefield. Board presence. Opponent has some card advantage over us by 3 cards, but I think we're pretty solid here unless he has a board wipe. Unfortunately, I have board wipes, and now he can choose to play them. Okay, he plays a Jukai Naturalist out of my deck. He goes to pass the turn. I'm going to Beside You my own Jukai Naturalist off my opponent's control, so that he doesn't gain life or block damage. You just lose. Good game, sir. Good game. Yeah, this is pretty slow. This is pretty bad. Both of our lands were entered tapped. You know what? For science, we'll keep this for science. Because we may draw into a basic land, something that doesn't enter tapped. If that's the case, then we're in business. But lands have been kind of problematic for this deck for some reason. Okay, so we're looking at goblins or just red deck wins. Burn spells. Yes, that's not a land. You just gotta be patient. Bloodthirsty Adversary is pretty good. Let it sit long enough. We found another land, but it's a little too late. We'll play the Comedy of Transients, play the long game. Opponents definitely put some pressure on us with some instants and this very aggressive creature. They play another one. Yeah, this is pretty brutal. No blocks. We might actually... Okay, so we'll Doomscar here, and we'll play our Michiko's Range Tree. Or, I'm sorry, we'll foretell the Doomscar. Play this. My Kami gets bigger. Swing in for 4. Next turn we'll blow up the board. And I know that sounds a little painful on our end, but we can live. I think we get more card advantage out of it. Okay, bad. Okay. So we will swing one more time. And we will blow up the board. And it has card advantage, but only 2 lands. Okay. This is bad, folks. This is pretty bad. It's haunting, I guess. We have no way to gain life. We never drew our Jukai Naturalist. So, yeah, opponent might be out of gas. Oh, I thought that was going to be enough. Oh, please, opponent, don't have a bolt in your hand. No bolts. Ah, that's a good game. I'll give it to you. That was good. That was a good matchup. This isn't great. This is pretty slow, but we have some good lands. Meat Hook isn't bad. Even early game, we have the lands to play it. Okay. Not used to seeing this in Standard Constructed. Mostly like Draft, but I'm not really sure what we're looking at. Maybe another just burn deck. So, gotta be a little careful. Sure, put this out. See if they burn it rather than hit us with their spell. Gotcha. So it's vampires. It's some form of vampires in the blood token synergies. Wedding announcement here. No attacks. Like a dude. We play something a little more scary, we can exile this and whatever that would be with 1 borrowed time. Block like that. So again, I targeted this creature with my borrowed time. You pay the 1 green mana. It stops you so that you get the ability to do this. You come over here. It kind of like hides the card. I'm sure there's a way to shift this around on screen, but click it again, and it copies it. It gives you 1 more target for the price of 1 green mana. Now you have 2 things under your borrowed time. Super underrated card, in my opinion. Love me some Harmony, or Weaver of Harmony. No blocks. This thing is scary. Copy this. Do it 1 more time. Is a 14/14 token. Opponent is at 6 life. Opponent's like really trying to understand what just happened to them, because these are uncommons, not normally played. Okay, like these don't see any play. But with 1 mana and this Weaver of Harmony, it just became devastating. And so, again, target creature, copy it. We can actually meat hook for 1 so that they have to block here and they still die. And it's kind of blocked out of the game. They'll be at 1 hit point if they don't block, or if they block. Okay, so you gain some life. Swing. Have to block, sir. Okay, opponent lives. Crazy. So whenever these get to their 3rd stage, you don't want to copy it. Unfortunately, it does not give you 2 creatures on the back side of this, so just leave this for its 3rd mode. Believe me, I've tried. I've wasted the mana and the game losses to try, and it does not copy the creature. Okay, Define Naturalist. Kind of just going all in here. Don't want to copy the token here. We'd rather just swing because they're at such low life that they're pretty much forced to block. While we have the mana, let's level this up. They're probably all just going to force block the Weaver of Harmony to kill it. Doesn't matter. Could pull out a board wipe here off the top, but okay, so they just block all around. Sacrificing, gaining life, dealing damage, sure. Okay. I also have a mute up, so that damage is reverted. Yes, they were just losing life and gaining life there. Yep. So by turn 5, I think that was a turn 5 win, maybe that was turn 6 and I didn't draw land, but we will also quickly open some packs. See what we get here. Okay. Okay. Very spicy card, but I like it. Crimson Vow, oh. Alright. With that being said, we are off. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Really appreciate you. Every subscription, every follow really helps grow our channel so we can bring you better stuff. We have some big stuff in the works, my friends and I, Airboat included. He was in the chat earlier. Go check out his Twitch and YouTube. It means a lot, and we're going to be bringing you more and more exciting stuff, so stay tuned. And with that being said, we're out. Now get out of my house.